Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at a fascinating document. It's called Ideas sobre el flujo del espacio y lo que llamamos tiempo. That's ideas about the flow of space and what we call time. For those of us who don't speak Spanish,
Right.
it lays out this really incredible, almost science fiction-esque concept of time and the universe.
Yeah, it really pushes the boundaries of how we typically think about these things. It's like the author took everything we thought we knew about time and space and shook it all up
Yeah,
and then pieced it back together in this entirely new way.
exactly. And it all starts with this really interesting approach to understanding dimensions. The author starts with something simple, a single point,
Okay.
and then builds from there. They extend the point into a line, then expand that line into a plane,
hmm
and finally they create a 3D volume.
It's a clever way to illustrate how complexity can emerge from simple building blocks. And what's really intriguing is they apply the same logic to the universe. They suggest that our universe isn't some random shape, but is actually a perfectly formed sphere.
Okay, a spherical universe. I'll admit the idea of a universe without any edges or corners is pretty appealing.
Huh.
But why is this sphere shape so central to the author's theory? What makes it so special?
Well, the author argues that a sphere is the most elegant, the most perfect 3D shape, because it distributes pressure equally across its entire surface. They even suggest that shapes with edges or points lack the sphere's inherent harmony.
I see. So the sphere represents a kind of ideal balance, the perfect distribution of forces.
Yeah.
But how does this relate to time? I mean, we've got the spherical universe just hanging out in space. Where does time even fit into this picture?
That's where the author introduces a fourth dimension. Imagine stretching this spherical universe along an axis that represents all moments in time, past, present, and future. It's like taking that sphere and stretching it out into an infinitely long, let's say a wire.
Okay.
Each point along this wire
Yeah.
represents a specific moment.
So if I'm picturing this correctly, we have this wire universe where every single moment in time, from the Big Bang to the very end of the universe, if there even is one, exists all at once.
Precisely. All moments, past, present, and future, coexist simultaneously in this model.
Wow, that's a huge shift from our typical understanding of time as a linear progression. It's not that time is flowing from the past through the present and into the future.
Right.
Instead, it's like all of time is just there, laid out along this cosmic wire.
Exactly. And here's where things get even more fascinating. The author doesn't stop with just a straight wire. They twist this wire universe into a spiral shape.
A spiral. Okay, now I'm really trying to wrap my head around this.
He called the spiral the flow of time, or the temporal current.
So each twist of this spiral represents a different point in time. But all of these twists, all of these moments
Yeah,
exist simultaneously.
you're getting it.
Understanding dimensions. The author starts with something simple.
Instead, it's this spiraling collection of moments, all interwoven and existing at the same time. But here's the question that pops into my mind. If all these moments exist at once, could there be connections between them?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Is that where the author introduces the concept of those bridges you mentioned earlier?
You're right on track. That's exactly what the author proposes.
I mean, are we talking about literal bridges connecting different points in time?
Bridges between points on this time spiral, but these aren't random connections. They suggest these bridges link specific intervals on the spiral.
Okay, hold on. So imagine you're on one twist of this time spiral. Let's say the year 2024. These bridges would allow you to jump ahead 10 years to 2034, or maybe even back 20 years to 2004.
That's the basic idea, and of course this raises the question, could these bridges be the key to time travel? Could they provide a way to access different points in this already existing tapestry of moments?
This is starting to feel like something out of a science fiction novel. We've gone from a spherical universe to a cosmic wire to a time spiral with bridges connecting different points in time. And it's all based on this simple idea of building complexity. From simple building blocks, where do we even go from here? This is incredible.
Well, believe it or not, the author takes this concept even further. They envision taking that entire time spiral, all those twists and turns representing the entirety of time, and coiling it up into another sphere.
A sphere of time.
They call this the sphere none.
Wait, a sphere made out of a spiral. That represents all of time in our universe. I'm trying to picture this, but I'm not sure my brain is ready to handle this level of mind-bending.
It's a complex concept, but visually it's almost like taking a really long piece of string, coiling it up and then seeing that coiled string form a sphere. That's their concept of sphere. A sphere formed from the entirety of our universe's timeline.
So let me get this straight. We've got our spherical universe
Yeah.
stretched out into a time spiral, and then that spiral is coiled up into another sphere called sphere and port.
Yeah,
But the author doesn't stop there, do they? There's more, isn't there?
you're absolutely right. There's another layer to this. The author proposes that there isn't just one sphere and Hom, but a whole collection of them.
Whoa, so it's like universes within universes,
Mm.
and they can all interact with each other. This is getting seriously cosmic.
It is, and it opens up a whole new set of questions. For example, what happens when these universes collide? Could it explain things like déjà vu, or even the feeling of having lived a past life? We'll delve into those questions and more, right after a quick break.
Okay, we're back, and I'm still trying to grasp the sheer scale of what we've just discussed. Multiple universes, each one a sphere and cofit,
Oh,
formed by a coiled-up spiral of time, all interacting like particles. It's a lot to take in.
it is quite a journey,
Yeah.
from a single point to a multiverse.
It's amazing how the author built this model
Yeah.
from such simple concepts
Yeah.
and ended up with a framework that's just, well, enormous.
But within this model, there's also a really intriguing view of how time flows within each individual sphere.
Right. Remember that film reel analogy the author uses?
Yeah.
They said that our past
Mhm.
is like a fixed part of the film,
Yeah.
leading up to the present moment, and the future isn't predetermined, but exists as these possibilities, branching out from the now. So what happens when someone makes a choice? When something changes, does it re-edit the entire film?
That's the idea. The author suggests that any change, big or small, causes the entire flow of time to update. It's like altering one frame in the film reel. It changes the entire movie.
So if I decide to have cereal instead of toast for breakfast,
Mm.
that ripples through the time spiral,
Yeah.
changing my entire future. That seems like a lot of responsibility for a bowl of cereal.
Well, the author does address that. They suggest that most individual actions, like your breakfast choice, probably don't create huge waves in the grand scheme of sphere sun. It's more like dropping a pebble in a vast ocean. The ripples might be there, but they're not going to cause a tsunami.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better about my breakfast choices. But it raises another question. What could cause a significant change? In the flow of sphere sun, what would it take to create those metaphorical tsunamis? In the temporal ocean,
That's where things get really interesting. The author doesn't explicitly define what kind of event could cause a major shift, but they hint at the possibility of something they call a nexus event.
a nexus event. What's that?
They describe it as a point in time where multiple possibilities converge, a moment with the potential to drastically alter the course of events, not just within one sphere or school, but potentially across multiple universes. It's almost like a fork in the road of time, where the path taken has enormous consequences for everything that follows.
So a nexus event is like a cosmic tipping point, a moment where even a small change could cascade
Yeah,
into something enormous.
exactly. It's a moment of heightened potential, a point where the very structure of sphere becomes more malleable, more susceptible to change. Think of it like a delicate balance scale. A tiny weight added to one side could tip the entire scale.
That's a powerful image. And it makes me think about those bridges we discussed earlier. Could those bridges play a role in nexus events? Could someone use those bridges to travel to a nexus event and intentionally cause a major shift in the timeline?
That's a fascinating question. The author doesn't go into specifics about how those bridges might function or what their limitations might be, but the possibility of someone intentionally altering a nexus event and therefore changing the course of multiple universes is certainly an intriguing one.
It definitely has a science fiction feel to it, but it's rooted in this framework the author has established. We've moved beyond just understanding the shapes of the universe and the nature of time. Now we're talking about potentially altering the very fabric of reality.
And that's where the author's work takes a philosophical turn. They ask us to consider the implications of this model, if all these moments exist simultaneously, and if past, present, and future are all intertwined in this complex web. What does that mean for our understanding of free will? If our choices are just ripples in an already existing temporal ocean, do we truly have control over our destinies?
Those are big questions, and they're not easily answered. But I think it's important to grapple with them. This model challenges our assumptions about time, about choice, about the nature of reality itself. It forces us to reconsider what we think we know and to embrace the vast unknown.
It also encourages us to think about the interconnectedness of everything. Our choices, no matter how small they seem, are part of a larger tapestry. We are all threads in this cosmic fabric, woven together across time and across universes.
I'm also thinking about those other spheres, those other universes coexisting. potentially interacting with our own. Could there be subtle signs of these interactions? Could those unexplained phenomena, like déjà vu or prophetic dreams, be echoes from other universes, bleeding through into our own reality? The author seems to think it's a possibility.
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? What if those fleeting moments of weirdness we sometimes experience are actually glimpses into other realities? What if those feelings of familiarity, those uncanny coincidences, are hints of connections that transcend our understanding of time and space?
We're starting to delve into some pretty mind-bending territory here. But that's the beauty of this deep dive. It pushes us to think beyond our everyday limitations, to explore the fringes of what we thought was possible.
And who knows, maybe by exploring these seemingly outlandish ideas, we can uncover some hidden truths about the universe and our place within it.
Let's pause here for a moment and let our listeners absorb what we've covered so far. This model, with its complex structure and its mind-boggling implications, is a lot to take in. But as we move into the final part of our deep dive, we'll bring all of these ideas together and explore what they might mean for our understanding of reality. All right, we are back for the final part of our deep dive into this truly unique model of the universe. We've covered a lot of ground, from building the universe from scratch to exploring the implications of a multiverse with potential connections between different points in time. It's a lot to process.
It really does challenge us to expand our thinking, doesn't it?
And it raises so many questions.
And it highlights how much we still don't know about the nature of reality. What's fascinating to me is how the author doesn't just present this model as a cold, hard theory. There's a sense of wonder, almost a poetic quality to their writing. They describe the flow of moments as a cosmic dance, the interplay of spheres as a symphony of universes.
I noticed that too. It's like they're inviting us to not only understand this model intellectually, but also to feel it, to experience it on an intuitive level.
Yeah,
And, even if this particular model turns out to be incorrect, the process of engaging with these ideas, of stretching our imaginations, is valuable in itself.
absolutely. It reminds us that the universe is full of mysteries, and the search for understanding is an ongoing journey. And speaking of journeys, the author makes an interesting point about the nature of time travel.
Okay, that's a bit of a twist. I thought those bridges were practically a time travel invitation. Why does the author think it might be impossible?
Yeah. Well, remember how they describe the flow of time as constantly updating. They suggest that if you were to travel to the past, even if you could physically get there, you wouldn't be able to interact with it in a way that would change your present. It would be like watching a movie. You can rewind to a previous scene, but you can't alter what's happening on the screen.
So it's like the past is fixed, even if we could access it through these bridges.
That's the author's suggestion. They believe any changes you might think you're making in the past are actually already part of the overall flow of time. It's a deterministic view, suggesting that everything, even our choices, is part of a pre-existing script.
That raises a whole new set of philosophical questions about free will, doesn't it? If everything is predetermined, then do we really have any control over our actions?
And the author doesn't shy away from that debate. They suggest that perhaps free will isn't about making choices that change the course of events, but rather about aligning our actions with the flow of time, about finding harmony within the grand symphony of the universe.
It's a thought-provoking idea, to say the least. It shifts the focus from trying to control the future to finding our place within the existing flow of time.
Right.
But what about those other scares? Those other universes? Could we potentially travel to those, even if changing our own past is off the table?
That's a question the author leaves open. They simply state that the interaction between spheres is a realm of infinite possibilities, and that the boundaries between universes may be more permeable than we imagine. It's almost as if they're encouraging us to explore these ideas further, to consider the possibility of a reality that extends far beyond our current understanding.
That's what I find so compelling about this document. It's both a fascinating model and a call to explore, to question, to keep searching for answers. It's a reminder that the universe is a place of wonder, full of secrets waiting to be uncovered.
I completely agree. And for our listeners, as you go about your day, we encourage you to hold this model in your mind, even just for a moment. As you look up at the night sky, imagine those distant stars as part of a vast spherical universe, stretching out into a spiral of time.
And think about those seemingly impossible connections, those bridges between moments, those echoes from other universes. Consider the possibility that reality might be far more complex and interconnected than we ever dared to imagine. Who knows, maybe this deep dive has planted a seed that will inspire you to explore these ideas further. to make your own discoveries about the universe and your place within it.
Until next time.